Alright guys, before we get started on today's lesson, I just want to remind you that this is the last week of this grading quarter, so all of your work needs to be turned in by this Friday, October the 23rd. Any work that's not turned in by then will be given a 0. Alright, the first 3 problems are just a review for us. The first one is just reviewing what to do when we have these parentheses with a number outside. Remember, we used the distributive property, and that means to multiply that -3 times both numbers inside the parentheses. Some of you like to show that step where you're multiplying the -3 times the x and the -3 times the +4, and some of you like to go straight into your answer, which is fine too. -3 times x is -3x. -3 times 4 is -12. Remember to only write one symbol there, so you would not write -3x plus -12. We don't want that double symbol right next to each other, and so you would only write that -12 with a subtraction sign between the -3x and the 12. The second problem is just a reminder about combining like terms. Remember, I can only add a term that has an A on it with another term that has an A on it. So I know I'm going to get an A as an answer. I just need to add those numbers in front. So in my calculator, I would be putting -2 plus 4, which is +2. So that's what I would put in front of the A. Then I can only combine constants with other constants. So in my calculator, I'm putting -3 plus 8, which is +5. So remember, you have to put the plus sign in front of the +5. That is really important. Some of you are just writing 2A5 like that, and that is incorrect. You have to put the plus sign in front of that 5. Also, remember, we're going to put the variable in front, so do not give your answer as 5 plus 2A. We want the variable in front. So this is a combination of both of those things. This is what we did last week. So remember, the first thing you're going to do is distribute. So we have this -3 that we're multiplying by the A and by the 8. So the -4a is staying -4a for now. The -3 times the a is -3a. The -3 times a +8 is a -24. Then we look for any like terms that we can combine, and so since this term has an a and this term has an a, I can combine those together. So what I'm putting in my calculator is -4 minus 3, and -4 minus 3 is -7. The -24 just comes down into my answer. It didn't have any other constant to combine with it. So these are my final answers. Remember, we're not solving on these. That's what we're doing today, is starting to solve. So when we're solving an equation, that's when you have the equal sign. You're always going to begin by distributing if you can. That means if you have parentheses, you want to distribute. Then you're going to look for any like terms that you can combine. So remember, x's with x's, y's with y's, constants with constants. And then you're going to solve the simplified equation by undoing those inverse operations. So you would undo the addition or subtraction first, and then undo multiplication or division last. And finally, always check your answer. So here's an example of what an equation might look like. This one would require you to combine your like terms. This one requires you to distribute, and this one requires both. You would have to distribute first, and then you can combine that -x with your x term. So let's look at some examples here. So our first example only requires me to combine like terms because there's no parentheses to distribute. So I would see the 7x and the -3x. Remember, in my calculator, I'm putting 7 minus 3, and that gives me 4x. Don't lose the x. I bring the -8 down into the problem and equals 24. Again, you can continue to draw that line down your equal sign to remind you of both sides of the equation. So this is just a two-step equation. Remember, we're going to undo the addition or subtraction first and then undo the multiplication or division. So we're going to undo the subtraction of 8 by adding 8 to both sides. So these cancel, leaving me with 4x on the left side, and over here 24 plus 8 is 32. Now I'm going to undo that division, that multiplication using division. So we have 4x means 4 times x. So we're going to undo that multiplication by dividing by 4 on both sides. So we get x equals, and 32 divided by 4 is 8. So you try this one, pause the video, work this one on your own, and then you can come back and restart the video to see if you worked it correctly. Alright, so you should have noticed that 8x and negative 3x are like terms. 8 minus 3 is 5, so this is 5x minus 10 equals 20. Drawing your line down your equal sign, undo the subtraction by adding 10 to both sides. So 5x equals 30. Undo the multiplication, dividing by 5, and so x equals 6. Alright, on the back of your notes, these problems involve a little more than those did. Remember, anytime you see parentheses, the very first thing you're going to do is distribute the number that is right in front of the parentheses. So in this problem, the 3 is positive, and we're going to multiply it by the x and the 4. So that 5x stays in my problem just like it is. 3 times x is 3x, and it's positive, so put plus 3x. And then 3 times 4 is positive 12, so we put a plus 12. Equals, bring the 28 down. So again, I'm going to put my line down my equal sign to remind me of each side of the equation. These terms are on the same side and they both have an x. We call those like terms. So I can add 5 plus 3, which is 8. So that gives me 8x, don't lose the x, plus 12 equals 28. So undoing the addition of 12 by subtracting 12 from both sides gives me 8x equals 16. And undoing the multiplication using division gives me an x of 2 as my final answer. Go ahead and pause the video and do the you try number 2 and restart it when you're finished. Alright, so you should have distributed the 2 times the x and the negative 1. That would give me 2x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, so that's minus 2, plus the 3x equals 3. Again, I'm going to put my line down my equals to remind me of the two sides of the equation. Now these are not like terms. This one has an x and this one does not. But I can add the 2x with the 3x. 2 plus 3 is what I'm putting in my calculator, gives me 5x. And then I have the minus 2 equals 3. So undoing the subtraction of 2 by adding 2 to both sides leaves me with 5x equals 5. And dividing both sides by 5 gives me x equals 1. Alright, so again, on this one, we're going to start by distributing. Now the number in front of the parentheses is not just a 3, it's a negative 3. So we're multiplying negative 3 times x, negative 3 times negative 2. The 4x is staying the same for now. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6, so I'm going to put plus 6 equals 21. So really watch your signs there. Negative times negative is positive. Here are my like terms that both have an x. If we do 4 minus 3 in our calculator, that's just 1. So you can either write 1x or just x. It's the same thing. So you could also put 1x there. That's the same exact thing. Plus 6 equals 21. So we undo the addition of 6 by subtracting 6 from both sides. And so we get x equals 15. I don't have to divide because if there's a 1 in front of here, I'm done. I want 1x. So that is my final answer. Go ahead and pause the video and try this last problem. Alright, so you should have distributed the negative 2 times the x and the negative 5. So you bring the 6x down into your problem. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10 equals 46. My like terms are the two that have x's on there. 6 minus 2 is 4, so we have 4x plus 10 equals 46. We have to undo the addition of 10 by subtracting it from both sides. So we have 4x equals 36. And so I'm going to divide by 4 and gives me x equals 9. Alright, you can watch those as many times as you need to before you get that process down and do your assignment today.